There are a lot of annoying things that you can see in a lawn. Weeds, competing grass types, unevenness, or like rolling lawns that aren't exactly flat. One of the things that I truly dislike in lawns is sprinkler head bodies that are sticking up way too high. Like high enough that you trip over them, or if you hit them with your lawnmower, you're breaking them, or if you step right on them, they kind of like bend to the side, then you're always having to adjust them to get them straight again. It really stinking annoys me.
Yeah, can you put it down?
Like all the way to the ground? Here in my lawn, this is my lawn. I just moved into this house a few months ago. I have been systematically going throughout the yard over the past month and a half or so, changing sprinkler head bodies one at a time whenever I've got about 10 minutes to spare. It literally doesn't take that long. I want to show you how I have been going about changing these sprinkler bodies out so that they are not as high, so that they don't like sit above the ground. It's actually enormously easy. There's a couple things that I've learned along the way. Really, to do this job, you just need like something to dig with and some replacement bodies. These things you can pick up at just about any big box store or let's call it hardware store. I've been swapping all of mine out for these Toro bodies. This is a body that I pulled out of the ground and replaced a while back. You notice that it's taller, and you should note, here let me zoom out, a 4-inch body of Toro, see how they're in line, is actually a little bit taller than a 4-inch body of this one. Probably between all of the brands, your measurement, the 4-inch, 3-inch, 2-inch measurements are gonna differ to some extent. On the packaging, you're gonna find 4 inches, typically 3 inches, typically, and then this one doesn't have a sticker on it, but it's a 2-inch. You also notice that this 2-inch one, I'm not sure if that's a full inch shorter. Maybe it is. So if you're going from brand to brand, you can probably find something in between if you really want to. I'm going to be replacing 1 or 2 of these sprinkler bodies over there. I'm definitely going to do one. It depends on my stamina and my babies. I've got a 2-year-old inside who sometimes demands my time. So if I've got time, I'll do the second one. Shovels. Most people have a shovel like this. You got to do some digging to do this. I actually don't recommend doing this. I actually recommend having a flat-headed shovel. And the reason for that is you're going to be digging into your lawn. Eventually, you're going to fix your sprinkler head. You're going to want to put the grass back. If you're using a flat-edge shovel, it's way easier. Essentially cutting your own chunk of sod. See, the sprinkler head is probably an inch, maybe an inch and a half too high. See that? It's just up there. Like I can push my finger down and it's almost to my second knuckle. If you take a flat edge shovel, you can basically cut your own chunk of sod right out of the ground, something that you can put right back. So you basically dig here, dig here, dig here, and then you scoop up only about 2 inches or so off of the ground. You set the grass off to the side, and then you can take your regular shovel to do a whole ton of digging underneath in only soil. That way, once you replace the sprinkler head, you put the soil right back, and then you can stick the sod that you cut right on top of it. At some point, it's gonna look seamless. Take a look over here. This is one that I did, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So I brought that thing down. I did that entire process. Here it is. You can't see it. Right there. It's just level with the concrete here. And you can't even really tell that I did it. It's only been a couple weeks. I've done it to a handful of sprinkler heads around the house. This one's up a little bit too high. I'll have to get that one. The most recent one I did here is right there. I brought it down about 3 inches. So no matter what, your sprinkler system is going to look different than mine. You're probably going to have a different brand. If you do have the same brand, it might be a different sprinkler body. And everything underground, we have no idea what it looks like underground. You probably have no idea what it looks like underground. Once we dig down, that's when we have to figure out what to do next. All right, now you'll see I dug out probably a little bit more than a foot. The thing is, you want a whole lot of space around it because you're going to take a regular shovel and dig down and dig all of this dirt out. Stick it into a bucket so that you can use it later, because you need to be able to put everything back. So you see here, we've got, this is actually a short, see that? This is probably a 2 to 3 inch one, which is crazy because it's probably sitting up on a riser. So we have to dig down to figure out what's down there. And for that, I'm going to use my regular shovel. So I still got my intact sod piece, and you notice how thick it is. I'd say that's probably 4 inches thick of dirt with the grass on top. So all of the root system is still there. But take a look. Again, you never know what it's going to look like underground. So this is a really short, stubby orbit. The brand doesn't really matter, but it's a short body. So you can't just go off to the store and just buy a shorter body, dig down, and go to put it in. You have to kind of dig it up first to find out, because this body is about as short as they get. I could use a 4-inch body, and it would be way down here, but you see it's still sitting on a riser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off, and then we got to cut the riser. Basically what happened a long time ago when this was installed, someone didn't take the care to figure out how tall the riser should be. So we have to come in after the fact, cut the riser down shorter, and then stick a new one on top. So I'm probably going to use a 3-inch body. So my body is going to go down to about there. My thread is going to be about like that. But then I've got about 2 inches to bring it down. It's almost going to be down at the bottom, like the thread is going to be way down here. I might end up using a 2-inch body anyway. If you want to be ultra precise, you pull out your measuring tape and you start doing the calculations on paper to figure out exactly what you need. All right, now I might be a little bit nuts, but I like to clean the pipe before I go taking bodies off and cutting them and putting new things on. I just think things sit better if the pipe is clean. It might be unnecessary, but I do it. Through experience, I've never liked putting water like from the hose in here because it fills up the hole way too much of water. Just adding just a little bit from like a coffee cup and a dish scrubber really is all it takes. And we don't end up getting water down here, like a pooling water effect. It's also nice because I can end up finding out how deep my my line is down here. These things just screw on, so you just unscrew them. Now at this point, if this was a 4-inch riser and you just wanted to switch it to a 2-inch to bring it down, then that would be fine, except for you got to check the threads down here. A lot of these risers are made of plastic, and over time, or previous homeowners or landscapers that didn't take a lot of care, they get really gnarly and chewed up down here, and it's hard to thread new things on, and the seal might not be good. So sometimes if you think you can take a 4-inch down to a 3-inch riser and just use the same thread, you might need to actually cut down here and use an actual 4-inch riser. So you bring it down further so you can have clean thread to thread it onto, and then the body is taller so it sticks up to about ground level. In this case, and every single one that I've replaced in my lawn so far, I've had to cut this off because everything up here is chewed up to the point where I can't get things to thread on well or at all. To cut this, you could pull this out down here and go take it to a saw and cut it. But what I've been doing is using a 90-degree angle, those little vibrating saws, come down here to the next thread line and then cut it there. Now I feel like I'm actually pretty lucky that this is just a plastic threaded riser. In some cases you're not going to have hardly any riser at all. You might have PVC coming right up to a little connection, but the thing is these things can't just thread right onto PVC. So that's why I say every single time you dig one of these up, you have to dig it up to see what you have so that you can run off to the hardware store and figure out what you need to go buy. In this case, I've got a long, lengthy riser. Because it's so long, I don't want to use a 2-inch. I'm going to use a 3-inch. So I want to put that at ground level, bring it over here, and it looks like I'm going to be threading it onto this section, which means I need to cut it right here. Now this is why I say you need to have a wide circumference in your dig zone. In fact, I probably could have made this even wider because I need to be able to get whatever your tool is. You might not have this tool, you might have something else. You need to be able to get your tool in there, so if you have a riser like this, you can cut it without removing the whole thing. I don't want to remove it because this is a good seal down at the bottom, and I just don't want to disrupt something that's good. All right, because this is plastic attached to PVC, I can literally like flex it a little bit. All right, you see my top here? So it's not perfectly straight, but I got a nice clean cut. There's a little bit of residual water in the line, but even though this is not 100% level cut, it works because all of the threads are still intact. We got a little bit of scuffing here on the side. If you really wanted to, you could grab a file and file that off. I found that it's not really necessary. Now you can take your thing, literally just screws on. Now if you've got straight PVC or some other connection, again, this is why you dig down in the first place before you go and even buy these parts. These parts are dollars, like less than $10. Some cases less than $5. Any home improvement store has these parts. Regardless of the brand, you're going to find something that you can use. But you just screw it down on. See, it screws on perfectly. So if I look at this is what I cut off. See how mangled the top is? Things don't want to screw on to thread that's all damaged like that. That's why we cut it out and we change the short body to a taller one. But we don't always have to do it. Sometimes it's the other direction. This might be the tall one and we need to change it to a shorter one, especially since we're lowering it down. But anyway, that's what we got. So once you get the body, then you have to put a new top on, unless you're using the exact same brand where the top here can be replaced. But I don't see any reason to reuse that one, since these are, again, like a couple bucks a piece. Just get a brand new one for whatever new body you've got and stick it on there. In this case, you could just pull it up, you can just unscrew it, and then you screw a new thing on top. All right, so you can always run off to almost any home improvement store, find your brand of body. This particular one is a Toro. You do Rainbirds or any of the others, Orbits. I'm sure there's others out there. Just find your brand, find the spray pattern that you want, and you can buy these onesie twosies like this. Or you can buy them in bulk. I just bought this online. It's the same thing, it's just a bulk package. This is a 180-degree nozzle, so it's perfect for a sidewalk. It's going to shoot that way, this way, and in an arc around this way. This particular one is going to shoot 15 feet as its radius. So I say that because my situation might be different from yours. You might be doing this along a sidewalk. You need something really long but really narrow, so a very long oval kind of thing. Or it could be a shorter radius. The point here is these are very cheap. Nozzle, filter. Filter in, nozzle in, literally just screws on. Now with the Toros, you see this little section right here? Kind of got these little grips here. You can kind of see it. The whole thing just turns. So I'm just grabbing this part, not the body, but this part. This is only for Toro. There might be some other brands that are like this, but you just turn it so that it is in line with your sidewalk. Now we just need to backfill the area with the soil that we put in the bucket. We want to make sure that this thing is upright, not like angled down. So you want to really take your time to pack the dirt in right at the base to get it back up exactly the way you want it. Pack it down. Use your foot, use some sort of tamping device, coffee cup, whatever the heck it is. But you want to tamp it down so that this thing doesn't move. It's all cleaned up. It kind of swept. At the very end, I like to add a little bit of water on top because I've tamped it down pretty good with my fist and my foot and whatever, I don't know, whatever blunt object I have that seems to fit into the space. But water does an exceptional job. So I'm going to pull the hose out here and spray it down. Let's see, there it is right there. I'm going to spray it down right on that area, get some of that dirt to settle as best as I can. And quite honestly, over the next month, anytime I find myself having like a coffee cup size of straight dirt, I'm going to go ahead and take it over there and put it on this spot if it feels like it's a little bit depressed. Probably not going to need much, if any at all. Hey, what happened to the sprinkler head? It's not there anymore. Look.
Oh, it's that.
Oh, it is there. It's just lower. You're not going to trip on it anymore. You're not going to trip on it. You just step right on top of it. You like it? Yeah.
Sure.
All right, full disclosure. It's not actually the toddler, the 2-year-old, that makes it slow. It's literally filming. So I'm going to go ahead and do this next one next, off camera, and play out here with my daughter through the whole thing. Look at these jobs, guys, as an experience, something fun. You don't have to look at them like a chore. This is fun. I'm just bonding with my daughter while we play in the mud.